Hello and welcome. I have to imagine that watching our videos is kind of frustrating for some of our viewers because the vast majority of the cars that we talk about will never leave the Chinese market. That's not the case today. At least if you're watching from Australia or Indonesia, the car in today's review, the BYD Dolphin, is headed to your market soon, if it's not there already. This funky little EV hatchback has proven to be a pretty big hit here in the Chinese market. Today, we're going to try and find out why that is.
This vehicle will soon be sold alongside the BYD Atto 3 in the Australian market, where it will most likely be called the Atto 2. The name here in China is Dolphin, which is what we'll be calling it in today's video because that's just way more fun. Prices here in China range from $14,000 to $18,000 US, while the starting price in Australia is expected to sit around $35,000.
One glance at the Dolphin will tell you that BYD was aiming at younger buyers with this car, or at least those who are young at heart. All versions of the Dolphin, or almost all versions of the Dolphin, come with this two-tone paint job. That means a dark gray up top and a lighter tone down below. Almost all versions also come with these cool kind of colored highlights on the exterior of the car.
Despite a length of only 4.1 meters, the Dolphin manages to pack in a lot of style. That includes a ton of different details and patterns throughout the exterior. Whether or not they all manage to work together is debatable, but you'd be hard-pressed to call it boring.
One thing I don't consider up for debate is the fact that these rear taillights are awesome. They're inspired by Chinese traditional knot tying techniques, and they're proliferating on different BYD models. I really like them. If we open up the rear hatch here, 345 liters of space. If you fold down the rear seats, you get 1,310 liters. True to its name, the interior of the Dolphin is definitely ocean-inspired. You have these fin-shaped door handles. I think they look like fins. And then you also have this wave pattern almost everywhere on the interior. Here on the air vents, you've got it. Up here on the dashboard, there on the dashboard is a wave. And then even way up in the front, you see it repeated again. You even have the wave pattern on the grille for the speaker. On the dashboard and the seats, you also have this pattern that looks like fish scales. And oh, I hope you liked the green accents on the outside, because you have them on the interior as well.
Of course, this expressive design will come as no surprise to anyone who's seen the Dolphin's sister vehicle, the Atto 3 electric SUV. But while the Atto 3 probably took things a bit too far, the Dolphin strikes a better balance between whimsy and practicality.
You see, well, there's plenty of funky stuff going on in here. I think they got the core things right. Most of what you can do happens in this 12.3 inch or 12.8 inch actually touchscreen, which, this being a BYD, it also can turn like that. But it also has this nicely integrated set of buttons down here. They're like little rolling wheels, and they allow you to do things like, well, your shifter, that's this little button here on the left, P on the side, and then you can change the drive mode, change the regen settings, and adjust your air conditioning. There's also, the rarest of creatures, a physical rolling button for volume. I love to see that. Then down here in the middle, you have your emergency brake button, as well as a wireless charging pad. There's not a lot of surprises when it comes to the interior material quality of the BYD Dolphin. That is to say that it's in line with the price point. Cheap, hard plastic everywhere, but most of it has, a good amount of personality at least. It's not hard to look at. The buttons here that I mentioned before, well, yeah, they're kind of cheap looking, I'll be honest. They look like they'd be not out of place in a car from maybe a decade ago.
This whole design is very compact and space efficient, but the low positioning and similar feel of each button means it can be hard to figure out what you're adjusting without taking your eyes off the road.
The rear passenger compartment of the BYD Dolphin does lack some of the charm of the front, with much less color to be found. You do, however, get to keep the fish scale pattern on the door, as well as the fish fin shaped door handle, which is always fun. You have but a single cup holder and a single USB port to keep you company back here. In terms of space, well, there is a decent amount, as you can see, in terms of leg room. This seat is moved pretty far forward, but an average adult could still sit in it comfortably. I myself, I guess I'm average height. I'm about 1.72 meters tall, about 5'9". So in terms of headroom, pretty good, actually. Anyone, much taller than me might have a bit of trouble, not with directly up here, but with the bump here in front of my head. So I would say that rear headroom is only acceptable, not great.
The Dolphin was the first model from BYD to utilize their new E-Platform 3.0, featuring the company's LFP Blade battery tech. The entry-level model comes equipped with a 30.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack with a claimed NEDC range of 301 kilometers. Higher trims feature a 44.9 kilowatt-hour pack for 405 kilometers of range. All Dolphin models have a single front-mounted motor, but there are two different power levels available. The lower output version makes do with 70 kilowatts and 180 newton-meters of torque, around 95 horsepower and 135 pound-feet.
Our car comes with the more powerful motor option. That means 130 kilowatts and 290 newton meters of torque. That's 175 horsepower and around 215 pound-feet. That allows it to shave 3 seconds off the 0 to 100 kilometer per hour time of the lower output version. That means it does it in about 7.5 seconds. Acceleration numbers are obviously not neck snapping, but you definitely don't feel like you're having trouble keeping up with traffic. The lower power output, that version I have driven as well, and I will say it's pretty darn slow. I'll take the higher output version any day. The ride and handling of the BYD Dolphin are both quite good, depending on what you're asking it to do. This is not a hot hatch. It's simply too softly sprung and there's too much body roll. There's no sportiness to its character, no sharpness. Turn-in is soft. The throttle and the brake pedal are both pretty soft. It's just round, soft corners all around when it comes to this car. However, if you are looking for a comfortable commuter EV hatchback, I think that makes it a very good choice because it rides really quite well, especially considering its price point.
The Dolphin lags behind some of its direct competitors in terms of tech, only offering adaptive cruise control instead of an L2 semi-autonomous driving system. ADAS has become a bit of a weak point for BYD, and we expect that they will be addressing it in some of their future offerings.
While the BYD Dolphin might not have a ton of personality behind the wheels, it definitely has in the looks department, both outside and inside. I think that alone helps to explain why it's been such a compelling seller here in the Chinese market. Thanks for watching today's episode of My New Ride.